this is extraordinary. My next guest has been one of our favourite telly stars over the past 30 years, starring in shows, Waterloo Road. She won Strictly Come Dancing, of course, back in 2004. But behind closed doors, well, Jill Halfpenny has spent years coming to terms with grief after losing both her father and her partner to heart attacks. Now, Jill sharing her story in a new book. The book is called A Life Reimagined, and I'm absolutely delighted to say she joins me now. This is extraordinary. I read it all in the one, and it is absolutely extraordinary, Jill. It's obviously your story, and you're very honest about it, but it's also just full of really good advice. I mean, going back, you were virtually a baby when your dad died. What were you, 4?
4, yeah.
4 years old.
Yeah.
And it was like that. It just, one minute he was here and then he wasn't.
Yeah, and it was 1979, and we were in the northeast of England, and my mum was left with 3 girls to bring up on her own, and we just got on with it.
Yes, it was almost like he disappeared, though.
Yeah.
Because you didn't talk about it. But
No.
you didn't back then. People just didn't.
No, it was kind of thought back then, if we don't mention it, it will be easier. If we don't bring it up, it won't upset people. And we're different now. We talk about things in a different way, but the book, a lot of the book is about perhaps like how that affected me and what then happened, because grief has to go somewhere.
Of course
and
it
if
does.
we're not talking about it, and I wasn't, and if I wasn't able to express it and process it, then it became very internalised for me, and I sort of became a very active kid. I did a lot of things because I didn't want to sit in my own discomfort. Right.
So distract all the time. And so driven, Jill. You were so driven, weren't you? Especially when it came to your career.
Yeah, and this is the thing with trauma and grief. It can be an incredible driver.
Sure.
And you can, you know, trauma can actually help you achieve a huge amount of things, but after a while it's a bit like putting like diesel in a petrol car. After a while it's like, OK, it's not working anymore. I think I need to look at some things. And you try and fix your insides with external things all the time. Yeah. But I think for me, I got to an age where I was like, I need to go inside and I need to look really deeply and I need to really try and work out why I behave in a certain way.
No, exactly. Because you were kind of like this life and soul of the party, you know, you liked to drink, you were drinking too much.
Yeah.
You were drinking too much. But you recognised that. That's the thing about you. You actually realised now it's... And I completely understand people who are going through grief who turn to booze. I get it. I completely get it.
Yeah.
It numbs you.
Yeah.
But, as you say, and you say it very well in the book, you wake up feeling so much worse. It's still there. You haven't got rid of it.
Yeah, and for me, because, as you know, in the book, I explained that I lost my partner as well. Of
course.
But I had stopped drinking years before I met my partner, Matt. So for me, thankfully, when I lost him, it wasn't an option. Even though I thought about it, it was less of an option for me to do that, to put that inside my body, because I'd learned so much by then, and I knew that all I was going, if I already felt bad, if I filled myself up with alcohol, I was going to feel 10 times worse. And that's not a judgment on anyone, by the way. That's just something that I learned about how that made me feel.
No, that's the thing about this. Is very understanding, because, you know, grief affects us all very differently. We handle it in a very different way. There's no timetable, there's nothing like that. But that's the thing about this story, you know, because just when you think, how awful to be 4 years old and lose your dad, you know, your dad dying in those circumstances where you just heart attack and he's not there anymore. Where's my dad gone, you know? But the same thing happened to Matt, to the man that you loved, this same circumstances almost.
Yeah, it was eerily similar. He left the house to go to an exercise class and never came home. But, you know, this is the thing. I'd learnt from losing my dad that I could not sidestep grief. I could not go around it or under it or over it. I was like, I have to go through this because I can't repeat my experience with my dad. I have to feel these feelings. And grief is so overwhelming and so powerful. And it really is, for me, it's a very scary feeling. It feels like you're a newborn baby and the whole world has changed and everything you look at seems unfamiliar. But I just kept telling myself, it's okay to feel. It's okay to feel all the feelings. And I was very open with my son as well.
Yes, of course.
And I said to him, I said, Harvey, like, there are going to be days where I will struggle more than others. There are going to be days where possibly all I can do is sit on the sofa with you and watch a movie and cuddle up, because that's all I'll be capable of. But I promise you, I will be okay.
Yeah.
It's just right now, I don't feel okay.
But you know, that's fantastic you were able to say that, because what a difference that would have made. And it's, again, no judgment in your mother at all, because it was different days.
Yeah, totally.
But, you know, if she'd been able to maybe say that to you and your sisters,
that
might have helped.
Yeah, because I think what's difficult is, I think as parents, all we want to do is protect our children.
Of course.
I mean, of course, that's all we do all day long.
Yeah.
The problem is that if a parent is telling their child, if I was telling Harvey, no, I'm totally fine, everything's fine, he would know on a much more unconscious level that my voice sounded strange, that my face looked a bit tense, that perhaps I wasn't quite engaging with him with the way that I usually do. So what happens is you become like a bit of a detective as a kid. So I became a little bit of a detective in my life and thought, well, people are telling me they're okay, but it doesn't feel okay. There's a funny atmosphere all around me. So what happens is you build up a sort of distrust. Then you start to distrust yourself. Well, OK, well, what I'm saying and what I'm feeling are two very different things. So that's why my opinion is that I just think to be as honest as you can is probably the best way through this.
No, absolutely, and you're right. You're going to have good days and bad days. It's that thing, everybody is totally, totally different. I think this book, though, will be really reassuring in a way for people going through that terrible experience when someone dies, particularly when someone dies very suddenly, and you haven't had time to say bye-bye, and all those things that you want to say. And I think, in a way, it's your story, but it's going to help an awful lot of people, Jill. I'm sure already you're getting feedback.
Yeah, I've had some really nice feedback, and the thing is, you know, I'd read so many amazing books about grief, and a lot of them were written by psychologists and psychotherapists, and they were absolutely incredible. And I just thought, I wonder if I write a book just from a layperson's point of view about my experience, but then what I did to help me. I just thought like a little toolkit, little things that I've learned, that I've picked up along the way from all sorts of different people. I mean, I've been so lucky to have people in my life that have guided me through and I've learned things from. So
also, you were open to that.
I was open to it.
That's the thing as well, which is a fantastic thing. Also in this, there's an awful lot of hope, Jill, because you have gone on to meet someone else.
I have.
You've got a lovely man in your life. You know, your son has got a lovely, you know, father figure, if you like, as well. And that gives you hope too. And Matt had said to you, you'd had that conversation, hadn't you? Before, obviously, a long time ago, but you'd had that conversation, if anything happens to me, you've kind of not got his permission, but it's like he says, I want you to be happy. That's it. That's all he wanted for you.
He did. You know, one night we were together on the sofa and he said, you know, if something was to happen to me, I really would love you to go on to meet someone and love again. And it was a disturbing conversation because it felt like he knew something. There was something very urgent and very direct about how he was speaking to me. And I wish I could tell you that I was like, of course I will, of course I'll do that. But I panicked because I seen something in his eyes. And my mum had a similar conversation with my dad just 2 days before he died. And it all felt just too familiar and too real, and I panicked. However, you're absolutely right with what you've just said. Now I can look back at that conversation and I can think he was giving me a sign.
He was, and also he obviously loved you very much. Because when somebody loves you, they just want the best for you. That's all they want. That's all they want. Jill, it's a remarkable book. It really is. I mean, and it says here, a journey of hope in the midst of loss. And that's what it's like. Thank you so much for coming in. And I do have, and I think everybody will have someone in their life that they need to read this. But it's not just for people going through grief, Jill. No. It's for all of us. Yeah, it's for everybody.
And it's like you said, I really want people to try and hold on and believe that, you know, when the life that you thought that you were going to have has gone, there are other paths to walk. And although they're paths without the people that we thought were going to be in it, there can be happiness and joy there in those paths too. I really want to put that message across and just for people to not lose hope.
You're a wise woman, a very wise woman. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you coming in. And Jill's book, A Life Reimagined, is out right now.